You've been sitting at a desk trying to learn things, hunched over, fluorescent lights, chair slowly destroying your spine. Meanwhile, Olympic athletes memorize entire playbooks in 48 hours, master new technical skills in a single training week, perform perfectly under conditions that would make your brain completely shut down. And they're not smarter than you. Most of them nearly failed school. Some of them did fail school. The difference isn't intelligence, it's not talent, it's not even hours of practice. It's something so obvious that when I tell you, you're gonna feel genuinely embarrassed for not knowing it sooner. Your body learns faster than your brain. That's it. That's the whole thing. And for the last decade, you've been ignoring 80% of your learning hardware. I'm about to show you exactly what Olympic athletes, special forces operatives, and elite musicians have figured out. And by the end of this video, you will never sit still while trying to learn anything ever again. Chapter 1. Your body is a hard drive your brain forgot about. Here's what most people think learning is. Eyes on page. Brain absorbs information. Repeat until remembered. Wrong. That is the slowest, most inefficient form of learning that exists. Psychologist Paul Fitts figured this out in 1954. He mapped out exactly how humans actually acquire skills. There are 3 stages. The first stage is cognitive. You're thinking about every step consciously. Painful, slow, error-filled. The second stage is associative. You're refining. Mistakes start dropping. Still thinking but less. The third stage is autonomous. You stop thinking entirely. Your body just does it. The movement, the skill, the behavior becomes encoded directly into your motor cortex. Not your prefrontal cortex, not your working memory, your motor cortex. The part of your brain that runs on autopilot. Here's the thing most people don't understand. Skills that reach the autonomous stage are almost impossible to forget. You don't forget how to ride a bike. You don't forget how to swim. You don't forget how to type. Why? Because those aren't stored where normal memories are stored. They're burned into a completely different part of your brain through something called procedural memory. And the fastest way to get any skill into procedural memory is not to read about it, not to watch YouTube videos about it, not to take notes. It's to move your body while learning it. Studies from the University of Edinburgh showed that students who walked while reviewing material retained 14% more than students who sat still. That doesn't sound like much, until you realize that over a year of study, that gap compounds into the difference between someone who remembers almost everything and someone who forgets almost everything. But here's the problem though. Movement alone isn't enough. Most people who exercise while studying are just exercising while distracted. There's a specific way to combine your body and your brain that makes encoding almost instant. That's where the second thing comes in. Chapter 2, State Dependency and the Trick Athletes Use Before Every Performance. Here's something that will genuinely make you angry. Psychologist Gordon Bower at Stanford proved in 1981 that humans recall information more accurately when they're in the same emotional and physical state they were in when they learned it. They called this state-dependent learning. In plain language, how you feel when you learn something changes whether you can access it later. This is why you study perfectly at home and then walk into an exam room, and your mind goes completely blank. Different physical state, different room, different body temperature, different lighting. Your brain looks for the memory in the new context and can't find it. Elite athletes know this, and they exploit it deliberately. NBA players don't just practice free throws in quiet gyms. They practice free throws with crowd noise blaring, with defenders waving their hands, with the actual pressure of a real game simulated as closely as possible. Why? Because they need the memory of how to shoot a free throw to be accessible in the exact state they'll be in when they need it. They encode the skill inside the state they'll perform it in. Your version of this is embarrassingly simple. If you have a presentation coming up, don't practice sitting down. Stand up, use your hands, raise your voice slightly. Get your heart rate to match what it'll be when you present for real. If you're studying for an important decision-making exam, study while mildly stressed, a cold glass of ice water pressed against your wrist, a ticking timer in the background. Your brain will file the memory with those stress markers attached. When you're in the real situation, those exact same markers trigger the recall, automatically, like flipping a switch. This sounds like a small trick. it is not a small trick. Erickson's research on expert performance showed that elite performers consistently train in conditions that simulate performance. That gap between training environment and performance environment is where average performers fall apart and where experts thrive. Most people study for the test. Experts study for the performance. One more layer before this gets almost unfair. Hit subscribe before we go there. This one is the one that separates people who plateau from people who keep improving forever. Chapter 3. Compression, chunking, and why your brain refuses to store raw information. Most people try to learn information. Experts learn patterns. That single difference accounts for almost every gap in skill acquisition you see between average and elite performers. Chess grandmasters don't memorize individual piece positions. They memorize configurations, recognizable patterns of pieces that have occurred thousands of times before. Researcher Adrien de Groot proved this in the 1940s. He showed chessboards to grandmasters and to novices for 5 seconds, and then asked them to reconstruct the positions. Grandmasters reconstructed almost perfectly. Novices reconstructed almost nothing. The stunning part? When de Groot scrambled the pieces into positions that would never occur in a real game, the grandmasters were just as bad as the novices. Their memory wasn't better. Their pattern library was bigger. They weren't storing 32 pieces. They were storing chunks. NFL quarterbacks don't see 22 individual players when they look at a defense. They see a formation, one recognized chunk, a single threat assessment that took years to build but fires in under half a second. Your brain does the same thing with every skill you've ever tried to learn, but only if you teach it to chunk correctly. Here's how you do it deliberately. Take any skill you're learning right now, break it into the smallest possible recurring patterns. What are the 3 or 4 configurations that come up again and again? In language learning, it's sentence structures, not vocabulary. In coding, it's design patterns, not syntax. In sales, it's objection types, not scripts. Find the recurring patterns, drill them until recognition is instant. Stop trying to learn the whole thing. Learn the atoms it's built from. But there's still a problem though. You can encode information using your body, you can match your training state to your performance state, you can build a deep pattern library, and you'll still lose a terrifying amount of what you've learned if you don't solve the last piece. And most people never solve it. Chapter 4. Sleep, consolidation, and why you're throwing away half your training every single night. This one is going to hurt a little. Every night you go to sleep, your brain runs a consolidation process. It takes everything from the day, everything that was flagged as important, and it transfers it from temporary short-term storage into long-term memory. This process happens almost entirely during deep slow-wave sleep and REM sleep. This is not theory. Matthew Walker at UC Berkeley and his research team mapped this process in detail. They found that sleep spindles, rapid bursts of brain activity during stage 2 sleep, are directly responsible for motor skill consolidation. In plain language, the skills you practice during the day get replayed and reinforced while you sleep. Here's where it gets brutal. Studies from Harvard Medical School showed that subjects who learned a finger-tapping sequence and then slept showed a 20% improvement the next morning without any additional practice. They improved overnight by sleeping. Subjects who stayed awake, no improvement. In fact, slight degradation. You are throwing away 20% of every single training session by not sleeping correctly. Olympic athletes know this. They treat sleep as active training, not rest, training. Michael Phelps slept in a hyperbaric chamber. LeBron James sleeps 12 hours and takes 90-minute afternoon naps. Roger Federer slept 10 hours minimum during competitive seasons. These people are not lazy. They are using sleep as a performance tool because their coaches understand what the research has been saying for 30 years. Your specific action items. Stop your learning session at least 90 minutes before sleep. Give your brain time to begin the early consolidation process before you go unconscious. Do a brief retrieval practice right before sleeping. Not review. Retrieval. Close everything. Recite what you learned from memory. This flags the material as important and tells your brain to prioritize it during consolidation. Keep your sleep environment cold, between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Your brain consolidates most effectively at lower core temperatures. This is not comfort, this is neuroscience. And protect your REM sleep like it is your most valuable training asset, because it is. Alcohol, cannabis, most sleep aids destroy REM architecture. They knock you out, but they don't let you consolidate. You sleep 8 hours and wake up with 4 hours worth of learning locked in. The rest is gone. Elite athletes go to bed like it is part of their training program, because it is. Here's the complete system. Use your body to encode skills faster through movement and state matching. Build pattern libraries instead of memorizing raw information. Sleep with the precision of someone who knows their results depend on it, because they do, and yours do too. But here's the problem though. You now have the system. The body encoding, the state dependency, the chunking, the sleep consolidation. You have the hardware side figured out. But there's still the question of what to actually feed the system. What is actually worth learning? Where is your crucial 20%? Because fast learning applied to the wrong material is just fast failure. That's why I made this video next, breaking down exactly how to identify what's worth learning and what is complete noise. It's almost unfair. Watch it next.